When Taehyung suddenly asks about the meaning of Jungkook's hidden tattoo, the answer shocks everyone, and Jimin's reaction changes everything. "I saw the name last night. Hyung, under your collarbone. Who is it?" Taehyung's voice cracked through the foggy silence of the practice room like a gunshot in a sacred temple. The LED lights above flickered, casting cold silver shadows across the mirrored wall where sweat had dried like salt stains from hours of dance practice. But now, no one moved. The music had stopped. The room, moments ago filled with beats and breathless laughter, now throbbed with something darker, something taut and ready to snap. Jungkook didn't flinch. He stood with his back to the others, eyes locked on his own reflection. His chest rose and fell slowly, rhythmically, like he was counting the seconds before the world shifted again. The faint curve of black ink peeked from beneath the hem of his sleeveless top, as if daring anyone to look closer. The room waited. Even the air seemed to hesitate. Taehyung stepped forward. His usually calm eyes were stormy tonight, not furious, not accusing, but searching, needing. "You covered it for so long, and now you let it show. Why?" Jimin, leaning against the back wall, felt his stomach drop. He hadn't seen it, hadn't dared look, but Taehyung had. That tattoo, the one Jungkook had always kept hidden from the cameras, from the fans, from them, and now Taehyung had spoken it aloud. Jungkook turned slowly, his eyes meeting Taehyung's. Not angry, not defensive, just tired. "You really want to know?" Taehyung nodded, once. Jungkook's jaw clenched. A pulse ticked in his neck. Then, as if pulling the trigger on something irreversible, he spoke. "It's Jimin's name." The words landed like thunder. Silence cracked wide open. Jimin's breath caught in his throat. The room spun. For a split second, the walls felt like they were closing in, warping inward with pressure he couldn't explain. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. 1,000 unspoken memories raced through him, shared glances, secret confessions, those long nights after tour stops when everything felt too much and too real. Taehyung blinked, stunned. "You tattooed his name?" Jungkook didn't look away. "I had to. I didn't know how else to remember who I was becoming." Jimin felt his knees buckle but stood his ground. "You didn't tell me." "You wouldn't have let me," Jungkook said softly. Outside, thunder rumbled over Seoul, low and menacing, like the sky itself was reacting to the truth hanging in the air. Taehyung stepped back, brows furrowed. "What does that even mean? What are you trying to say?" But it was Jimin who exploded. "What the hell, Jungkook?" His voice cracked through the tension like shattered glass. "You branded me into your skin like a secret and now you say it like it's nothing? Do you think I asked for this? That I wanted to carry that weight without knowing?" Jungkook's expression didn't change, but his hand moved, reaching up, pulling the fabric aside, revealing the black ink carved into his flesh, just below the collarbone. One single name, stylized with pain and permanence. Park Jimin. The lettering was small but bold, inked in the kind of font that whispered and screamed at the same time. There was no date, no embellishment, just the name. Jimin stared. His chest rose and fell, his fist clenched so tight his nails dug into his palm. Taehyung stood between them now, caught in a crossfire he never meant to spark. His hand went to Jungkook's shoulder. "Why didn't you tell us before?" "Because I knew this would happen," Jungkook murmured. "I knew it would make him hate me." "I don't hate you," Jimin snapped. "I just don't know who the hell you are right now." The hurt behind those words lingered longer than any echo. The mirror caught their reflections, 3 figures, fractured by light and pain and memory. None of them looked the same as they had just 10 minutes ago. Jungkook looked down, hand covering the tattoo again. "I got it after that night in Busan." Jimin's voice was almost a whisper. "Don't bring up Busan. You said you'd never forget what we shared that night." "I said I'd never forget," Jimin snapped. "I didn't say I wanted a monument etched into your body." Taehyung stepped back, looking between the two of them. "What happened in Busan?" Neither answered. The silence stretched. Finally, Jungkook turned and walked to the door. "I'll be in the studio." He didn't look back. Jimin stood frozen in place. His throat burned, his vision blurred. Taehyung looked at him. "Hyung, you okay?" But Jimin didn't answer. Instead, he turned to the mirror. His own eyes stared back at him, angry, confused, hurt. Not at Jungkook, but at something deeper. Something he couldn't name yet. Outside, the rain had started. Inside, nothing felt whole anymore. "What else are you hiding from me, Jungkook?" Jimin's voice tore through the hallway like a razor through silk. sharp, beautiful, and deadly. The elevator hadn't even fully closed behind Taehyung before Jimin's words detonated in the air between them, vibrating off the concrete walls of the dorm hallway like a contained explosion. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. His voice was cold, controlled. That was worse. Jungkook turned around slowly. His jaw was tight. His eyes were swollen with something that refused to spill: pride, regret, fear, maybe all three. He didn't answer. Instead, he leaned against the wall, crossed his arms, and stared at Jimin like he was daring him to ask again. Jimin stepped closer. "You got my name inked into your body without asking. You think I'm angry just because you didn't tell me? Then why are you angry?" Jungkook's voice was low, wounded, but defensive. "Because it means something to me? Because I did it when I was lost? You did it without thinking about what it would do to me." Jimin's breath hitched. "Do you know what it feels like to find out like that? Like I'm a secret you've buried under your skin. Like I'm a sin you wear proudly in the dark but can't show to the world." Jungkook pushed off the wall. "You were never a secret. Then why was your tattoo one?" The silence that followed wasn't quiet. It was made of all the times they hadn't said what needed to be said. Of all the glances that lingered too long, all the touches that trembled with meanings they never voiced. The years of being close, too close, and yet orbiting a truth too big to land safely. Jungkook exhaled slowly. "I did it after Busan. I told you." "No. You told me you wanted to forget that night." "I lied." Jimin's shoulders stiffened. "I thought if I tattooed your name," Jungkook continued, "it would hurt less when you moved on." Jimin blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" "You think I didn't see it, Jimin?" Jungkook's voice cracked open, raw and trembling. "The way you started avoiding me after that trip. The way you pulled away, little by little. I thought if I made it permanent, I could at least keep a piece of you, even if it was just mine." Jimin's throat tightened. "You think I pulled away because I didn't care? Didn't you?" "No," Jimin shouted now, fists clenched at his sides. "I pulled away because it scared the hell out of me. You weren't supposed to mean that much to me. You weren't supposed to be the one I couldn't stop thinking about at night. I couldn't breathe, Jungkook. I didn't know how to handle what I felt, how deep it was. So I ran. And you think I didn't notice?" Jungkook's eyes glistened, voice shaking. "I spent months pretending I was fine while you avoided every room I was in. I inked your name into me because I thought maybe if it hurt enough, it would finally erase the way you made me feel." The confession hung in the air like blood in water. Jimin stepped back, eyes wide, lips trembling. He had no answer, no weapon strong enough to deflect what had just been spoken. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Fast, purposeful. Taehyung reappeared at the corner, hair damp from the rain outside, eyes narrowed. "What the hell is going on?" Neither Jungkook nor Jimin moved. Taehyung looked between them, tension bristling like static. "Are you two gonna kill each other? Or should I call Namjoon before someone ends up bleeding?" "No one's bleeding," Jungkook muttered, turning away. Taehyung crossed his arms. "Not yet." "I didn't ask you to come back," Jimin snapped, eyes still burning. "You didn't have to," Taehyung replied coolly. "The whole building could probably hear you." Jimin turned toward him, furious. "Why do you even care?" Taehyung stepped closer, tone dropping into something more dangerous. "Because I was there that night in Busan too." Jungkook froze. Jimin stared. Taehyung's jaw twitched. "I saw you two at the pier. I wasn't supposed to. I left something in the van. I came back. I saw everything." The silence turned suffocating. "And I've kept your secret since then," Taehyung said, voice now tinged with pain. "Because I thought I was protecting you. But maybe all I did was help you destroy each other." Jimin's breath was shallow now. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because it wasn't my story to tell," Taehyung said, eyes locked on Jungkook. "But now it's inked into skin. Now it's a wound bleeding into everything we are. So maybe it's time we all stopped pretending." Jungkook looked like the floor had collapsed beneath him. "Pretending what?" he asked, voice hollow. "That nothing happened. That nothing changed. That we could go on singing love songs without becoming the heartbreak." The hallway went still again. Jimin leaned against the wall, one hand covering his eyes. "This can't be happening," Taehyung sighed. It already did. No one moved for a long time. The rain outside had become a storm now, its rhythm tapping violently against the windows like impatient questions from the universe. "I need air," Jimin finally muttered. He pushed past them and disappeared down the hallway. Jungkook didn't follow. Neither did Taehyung. The dorm felt colder than usual. like the heat had been sucked out of the walls along with their shared silence. Later that night, the group chat buzzed. Namjoon, emergency meeting, tomorrow, noon, Studio B. Yoongi replied with a simple, understood. Hoseok's message came next. What happened? Taehyung didn't reply. Jungkook turned off his phone. Jimin, somewhere in the city, was staring at his reflection in a cafe window, wondering how a name written on skin could break open everything he tried to keep buried in his heart. Episode 3. The studio where secrets scream. You think we can still function after this? Namjoon's voice hit the air like a blade. The door to Studio B slammed shut behind him, locking the 7 of them inside. The walls were lined with acoustic panels, but today, nothing could absorb the tension that crackled in the room like a live wire waiting for a storm to hit. Everyone was already seated except Jungkook and Jimin. Jungkook stood near the far end of the studio, arms crossed, hoodie up, leaning against the glass wall like it could shield him from the war about to erupt. Jimin sat on the leather couch, jaw tight, one leg bouncing restlessly. He hadn't said a word since he walked in 10 minutes late, hair still damp from the rain. He hadn't looked at Jungkook once. Taehyung sat between them, and for the first time in years, he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Yoongi finally broke the silence. Someone explain to me what the hell is going on. No one answered. Namjoon's hand slammed the table. Now. Taehyung looked up, voice low but laced with a sharpness that surprised even him. Jungkook tattooed Jimin's name on his body. He kept it hidden. I asked about it 2 nights ago. He confirmed it. In front of Jimin. Hoseok's eyebrows rose so fast it was almost comedic, but no one laughed. You did what? Jungkook didn't look at him. Namjoon's gaze sharpened like a scalpel. Explain. All of it. Jungkook didn't move. Then slowly, deliberately, he pulled the hoodie down and stepped forward into the center of the room. He pulled his shirt aside without a word. The room went still. Seokjin cursed under his breath. Oh, F. The tattoo was small, clean, carved right below the collarbone. Park Jimin, no flourish, no decoration. Just truth, burned into flesh. Why? Namjoon asked, eyes unreadable. Because I loved him, Jungkook said, his voice steady and terrifyingly calm. And I didn't know how else to keep it. Jimin's breath caught. Loved? Taehyung echoed bitterly. Past tense? Jungkook looked at Jimin for the first time. That's the part I'm still figuring out. The silence turned suffocating. Yoongi leaned back. This is a PR nightmare waiting to happen. Hoseok stared at the floor, jaw tight. This isn't just PR. This is us. This is our family. Namjoon turned to Jimin. You want to say something? Jimin lifted his head slowly. His voice was cold, controlled. He did it without telling me. I found out in front of everyone. He carved my name into his chest like a confession he never planned to deliver. Jungkook stepped forward, jaw clenched. That's not fair. No? Jimin snapped. Then tell me what's fair, Jungkook. You hide something that intimate, that explosive, and now you act like I'm the problem for reacting? You're not the problem, Jungkook said. You're just the reason I'm bleeding. The room fell deathly quiet. Namjoon let out a long breath. Okay, stop, all of you. This isn't helping. Jimin stood up. Then what do you suggest, Leader Nim? That we smile for the camera while pretending this didn't just rip something open we can't sew back. Don't put this on me, Namjoon said, calm but firm. I'm trying to keep this group alive. I never asked you to babysit us, Jimin muttered. Taehyung stood up. Okay, enough, both of you. His voice cut through like thunder. Do you even hear yourselves? He barked. This isn't about a tattoo anymore. This is about years of silence, years of tension we all felt but never named. He turned to Jimin. You've been lying to yourself. You feel something. You always did. But you buried it. He turned to Jungkook. And you? You romanticize pain. You made it into a shrine. That's not love. That's martyrdom. Jungkook's fists clenched, but he said nothing. Jimin's mouth opened. I didn't bury anything. Taehyung's eyes narrowed. Then why do your hands shake every time you look at him? Jimin froze. No one moved. I'm not doing this, Jimin whispered. He turned, grabbed his jacket, and walked toward the door. Jungkook followed. Jimin. Jimin whirled around. Don't say my name like that. Not after making it a monument to your misery. And then he was gone. The door slammed. Seokjin stood slowly, sighing. This is going to destroy us. No, Namjoon said, rubbing his temples. What destroys us is silence. Let it burn now, or we burn later. In the hallway, Jimin walked faster than he could breathe. His chest felt like it was on fire. The lights overhead blurred. His steps echoed like gunshots in his ears. "Stop," Jungkook called again, following. "Please." Jimin halted near the stairwell. "Why now?" he asked without turning. Jungkook stepped close but didn't touch him. "Because the longer I kept quiet, the louder it got inside." Jimin turned around, face wet with fury and emotion. "You didn't just break a rule, Jungkook. You broke me. I didn't ask for this weight. I didn't ask to be worshipped. I didn't ask to be etched into your soul. I didn't do it to trap you," Jungkook said, voice breaking. "I did it because I couldn't forget. Well, maybe I was trying to." Those 6 words hit harder than any slap. Jungkook staggered back like he'd been punched. Jimin's eyes flared with conflict, like he wanted to take it back but didn't know how. They stood like that for a moment. 2 boys once connected by melodies and laughter, now severed by silence and ink. Jungkook whispered, "Then erase me." Jimin didn't respond. Jungkook walked away first this time, and Jimin didn't stop him. That night, Taehyung knocked on Jimin's door. He didn't wait to be invited in. He simply walked in and sat down across from him. "Do you want to lose him?" he asked quietly. Jimin didn't answer. "Because you will," Taehyung continued. "He can pretend for the cameras. He can smile, but he's not made of armor like you think." Jimin stared at the ceiling. "And what about me? Do I get to be broken too? Or does everyone expect me to carry his pain and mine?" "No one expects you to be perfect, Jimin," Taehyung said gently. "But if you don't speak your truth, someone else will write it for you." Jimin closed his eyes. The next day, the internet broke. Army had spotted Jungkook's tattoo in a leaked backstage photo. The name was visible, sharp, unmistakable. Park Jimin. The fandom exploded. The label panicked. And the 7 of them were summoned again, this time not as a band of brothers, but as a brand in crisis. But before the meeting, before the cameras, before the press releases and spin control, Jimin sent one text. To Jungkook. 3 words. "We need talk." And Jungkook replied, "Then let's finally stop lying. Close the door. I don't want anyone hearing this." Jimin's voice was clipped, no trace of the gentleness that usually sat behind it. He stood in the private vocal booth of Studio G, arms crossed, back to the mic, eyes fixed on the reflection of Jungkook in the studio glass. The room was small, too small for the storm it was about to hold. Jungkook shut the door behind him, quietly, like he knew this conversation would either heal them or kill whatever was left between them. He didn't speak. Not yet. Jimin didn't look at him directly. His gaze stayed on the soundboard, blinking lights mirroring the chaos in his chest. "You said we should stop lying," Jimin started. "Fine, I'll go first." Jungkook waited. "I lied when I said Busan didn't mean anything," Jimin said, voice tight. "I lied when I told myself it was just a moment, just a phase." He finally turned, eyes glassy but defiant. "And I lied when I told you I was angry just because of the tattoo. That's not why I'm angry." Jungkook swallowed hard, voice cracking. "Then why?" "I'm angry," Jimin said slowly, "because you made it impossible to forget." The words landed like a punch to the ribs. Jungkook stepped back, like the weight of it needed physical distance. "I spent years trying to bury that night," Jimin continued, breath trembling. "Not because I didn't feel something, but because I did, and I couldn't live with what it meant." "Why?" Jungkook's voice was almost a whisper. "Why was it so hard to love me back?" Jimin's face twisted. It wasn't hard, it was terrifying. The silence between them stretched, thick and bruised. Jungkook moved closer, careful, cautious. "What were you so afraid of?" Jimin stared at him. "Of breaking us, of breaking you. I saw the way you looked at me, Jungkook, like I was your gravity, like you'd fall apart if I ever left, and I panicked, because no one should carry that much power. No one deserves it." "You're not a burden," Jungkook said. "You never were." "But I became one," Jimin shot back. "You put me on a pedestal, you made me your savior, and I just wanted to be your friend." Jungkook's expression darkened. "That night in Busan, you were more than that." "I know," Jimin said. "And that's what ruined everything." Jungkook's shoulders slumped. "So we just pretend it never happened?" "I tried," Jimin said. "But now the world knows, and they're turning it into a circus." Jungkook's voice hardened. "Is that what you're worried about? The world?" "No," Jimin growled. "I'm worried about us. I'm worried we're not coming back from this." The door opened suddenly. Taehyung stood there, eyes darting between them. "You two need to come to the conference room. Now. Jimin frowned. Why? Taehyung's jaw clenched. Because Hybe just got wind of the leaked photo. They're bringing in legal. Jungkook's breath caught. Legal? Damage control, Taehyung said. You're both trending worldwide. Jimin cursed under his breath. Jungkook looked at him, heart pounding. Then maybe it's time we tell the truth. Jimin's eyes flashed. You think the truth will save us? I think hiding is what's killing us. They followed Taehyung down the hallway, past interns who looked away quickly, past staffers whispering behind hands. Phones buzzed everywhere. Notifications exploded like firecrackers. Number Jungkook tattoo was trending Haseon globally. Fan accounts were dissecting every visible inch of ink. Theories ran wild. They entered the Hybe conference room. It was full. Executives, publicists, even a representative from the legal team. Namjoon stood near the head of the table, arms crossed, eyes weary. Sit down, now. Jungkook and Jimin did. A projector screen lit up behind them with screen grabs from Twitter, YouTube thumbnails, and blurred images of the tattoo. The legal rep spoke first. We need to know the nature of the relationship. Was it romantic? Is it romantic? We need to craft a narrative. Jimin blinked. Excuse me? This isn't personal anymore, she said calmly. It's a brand crisis. Jungkook's fists clenched under the table. He's not a scandal. He's a person. We understand that, the lawyer said. But right now, you're not just people. You're products. You're idols with millions of fans, shareholders, deals. Namjoon slammed the table. Enough. The room went still. I'm not letting you turn this into some twisted love triangle for engagement, Namjoon said coldly. They're not pawns. The CEO cleared his throat. With all due respect, we can't ignore this. We need a direction. Jungkook stood. Here's your direction. Everyone looked at him. I'll take the blame, he said. Say it was a stupid decision. Say I was young. Say it was a tribute to a friendship. Nothing more. Jimin looked up, stunned. Blame me, Jungkook continued. But leave Jimin out of it. Jimin stood abruptly. No, you don't get to protect me like that. Jungkook turned to him. I'm not protecting you. I'm freeing you. Jimin's eyes glistened. I don't want freedom if it means you become a lie. The table erupted in whispers. Namjoon stepped in. Enough. If they're going to talk, they do it on their terms. The CEO looked at the two of them. Then what are your terms? Jimin took a deep breath. We tell the truth. Not everything, but enough. Jungkook nodded. No labels, no drama, just honesty. The legal team hesitated. That's risky. Namjoon spoke for them. So is erasing who they are. 2 hours later, a statement was drafted. Vague, poetic, emotionally ambiguous, but respectful. It acknowledged the tattoo, spoke of deep friendship, of connection, of the human behind the idol. It didn't say love, but it didn't deny it either. Later that night, Jimin stood on the rooftop of the Hybe building, wind tousling his hair. The city spread out below him like a battlefield of lights and noise. Jungkook joined him, silent for a while. They'll keep asking questions, Jungkook said. I know, Jimin replied. And what will we say? Jimin looked up at the stars. That we're figuring it out, that not everything has a neat label. Jungkook's voice cracked. And if I said I never stopped loving you? Jimin looked at him. And then, for the first time since Busan, he reached out and touched Jungkook's hand. I'd say I never stopped either. For now, that was enough. But tomorrow was coming fast. And nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same. I should have known better than to think we could contain this. Namjoon's voice was low, quiet, yet sharp enough to cut through steel as he stood in front of the closed door of the rehearsal studio. Inside, muffled voices could be heard arguing no, shouting, echoing off the padded walls. And this time, it wasn't Jimin and Jungkook. It was Taehyung, and he wasn't holding back. You covered for them. You always F times king cover for them, Hyung. And now we're all caught in their mess. Yoongi stood nearby, arms crossed, his face unreadable but his eyes shadowed with concern. He said nothing, but the silence he kept was louder than words. Inside, Taehyung's voice escalated. You think this is just about a tattoo? You think this is just about feelings? No. This is about every goddamn thing we've swallowed for years because we thought the music would fix it. Jimin snapped back. Then say it, Taehyung. Say what you've been dying to scream since Busan. I saw you that night, Taehyung's voice cracked. I saw what you did, and I watched you pretend it didn't destroy him. Silence. Jungkook's voice came next, low and trembling. He didn't destroy me, didn't he? Taehyung's laugh was bitter. You haven't been the same since. You walk around like a ghost half the time. You drink alone. You disappear after practice. And then you show up with his name carved into your body like a wound you're proud of. Jimin slammed his fist against the table. I didn't ask for any of this. You think he did? Taehyung snarled. He was 18, Jimin. You knew exactly what you meant to him, and you ran the moment it got real. Jungkook suddenly shouted, "That's enough." Everyone froze. The room dropped into a vacuum of silence, like even the air was afraid to move. Jungkook's hands were shaking. His voice had that quiet edge to it, the one that only came when he was past anger and swimming in sorrow. Don't talk about me like I'm not here. Don't reduce me to some broken kid who needed saving. I made my choices. Jimin's voice was barely audible. And I broke you anyway. Jungkook didn't answer. Outside the room, Hoseok appeared, eyes wide, holding his phone. Guys, you need to see this. Namjoon grabbed the phone. A video had leaked. A fan-captured clip from a rehearsal 2 weeks ago. Jungkook lifting his shirt to wipe sweat from his face. For a split second, the tattoo was visible. Crystal clear. Park Jimin. The fan had slowed the footage, zoomed in, added captions. The video had gone viral. Tens of millions of views. Global media picked it up. Speculation was now declaration. This isn't speculation anymore, Hoseok muttered. They're saying Jungkook confessed to Jimin in ink. Namjoon's jaw clenched. How the hell did this get out? That's internal footage. Yoongi muttered, we're being watched from the inside. Namjoon turned. Get everyone in the control room, now. Back inside, Jimin sat down, breathing hard, hands trembling. I thought I was protecting him, he whispered. I thought if I just buried it, he'd be free. Jungkook sat opposite him. I was never free. Not from you. Not for a second. Taehyung leaned against the mirror, arms crossed, face unreadable. Then maybe it's time you both stopped pretending you're the only ones in pain. Jimin looked up. What are you saying? I'm saying I was there too, Taehyung said. I watched both of you implode, and I held it. I held the silence. I picked up the pieces you dropped, but I'm done being the safety net. Jungkook frowned. You think we wanted this? I think you don't care who you burn as long as you're burning together. Jimin stood. You have no idea. I have every idea, Taehyung snapped. Because I was the one you called the next morning. Remember? I was the one who had to lie to staff when you both disappeared for 14 hours after Busan. I'm tired of pretending I'm just collateral. Suddenly, the door burst open again. Namjoon walked in, phone in hand. His face was pale. Hybe wants us in the press room. Now. Yoongi followed behind. The video's gone global. Japan, Brazil, Indonesia. Even the BBC is covering it. Taehyung let out a bitter laugh. We're not idols anymore. We're a F times King drama series. Jimin closed his eyes. Then let's give them an ending. 15 minutes later, they stood on the stage in the Hybe press room. Cameras flashed. The microphones were live. The room was packed with reporters. Jungkook stood at the podium. Jimin beside him. The others stood behind them, silent, supportive, divided. Jungkook cleared his throat. We weren't planning to speak today, but sometimes silence becomes a cage. He glanced at Jimin. The tattoo is real. It's not fake. It's not a joke. Murmurs rose. I got it because I needed to remember a truth I was too afraid to speak. Jungkook continued. And that truth is, Jimin changed me. Gasps. Flashbulbs. But this isn't about fan service, Jungkook said. This isn't a confession for the cameras. It's a moment of honesty. We're human. We're flawed. We love. We hurt. We regret. Jimin took a step forward. I didn't know he'd do it, Jimin said, voice strong. But I know now what it meant to him, and maybe I know what it means to me too. The room buzzed. A reporter shouted, Are you confirming a relationship? Jimin replied, We're confirming that we feel, and that should be enough. The press didn't know what to do with that. Later that night, back in the dorms, Jungkook sat on the floor of the studio room, guitar in hand, strumming softly. Jimin entered quietly, sat beside him. You okay? He asked. No, Jungkook said honestly, but I'm done hiding. Jimin leaned his head against the wall. Me too. A pause. Can I ask you something? Jimin said. Jungkook nodded. That night in Busan, what did I say that made you get the tattoo? Jungkook looked at him, the weight of years behind his eyes. You didn't say anything, Jungkook replied. It was the way you didn't say goodbye. Silence. Then Jimin whispered, "I'm sorry." Jungkook looked away, biting back emotion. "I know." They didn't speak again for a while, but for the first time, they sat in the same silence. One that didn't suffocate, one that simply was. Outside, the headlines screamed. Inside, something finally began to heal. "You should have told us." Jin's voice was low, but it didn't need volume to pierce. The room they were in, Studio A, was quiet except for the occasional distant hum of traffic outside. The press conference was over. The articles had gone viral. The world had digested their confessions and spat them out into trending hashtags, fan edits, reaction videos, conspiracy theories, and divided loyalty campaigns. But inside these walls, the real storm was only beginning. Jin stood with his arms crossed, jaw locked, his eyes flicking between Jungkook and Jimin, who sat on opposite sides of the same sofa, close enough to touch but stiff with distance. Taehyung sat slouched in a chair near the corner, eyes dark, saying nothing. Namjoon leaned against the mixing console, the weight of leadership written in the slump of his shoulders. Yoongi had his hood up, arms folded, gaze cast down. Hoseok kept pacing like a caged animal, his breath short, like he was moments from either exploding or walking out and never coming back. "You should have told us," Jin repeated, this time to Jungkook specifically. "You carved Jimin's name into your skin and said nothing. You lived with that secret and let the group carry your silence like it was just another quirk." Jungkook's voice was quiet but unflinching. "I didn't think it would ever matter." Jin blinked, stunned. "You didn't think it would matter?" "I mean, I didn't think it would ever come out," Jungkook clarified. "I thought I could carry it, alone." Jimin scoffed, bitter. "You thought wrong." The air between them thickened, the kind of tension that makes even breathing feel disrespectful. Taehyung still hadn't spoken. Hoseok finally stopped pacing. "You didn't just hide a tattoo," Hoseok said, glaring at Jungkook. "You built an entire lie around it. Every time a stylist asked about it, every time fans speculated, you said it was personal." "It was," Jungkook snapped. "No, it was ours," Jimin corrected, voice suddenly sharp. "You made a permanent choice, based on something that wasn't just yours to memorialize." Yoongi finally spoke, his voice low but heavy. "You said you didn't do it for attention, but that's exactly what it caused." Jungkook turned to Yoongi, eyes flashing. "I didn't ask for this circus. You think I wanted fans zooming in on my chest? You think I planned this chaos?" "You created it," Taehyung said at last, his voice so calm it cut harder than a scream. Everyone turned to him. "You didn't plan it," Taehyung continued, "but you did everything to make sure it would one day be discovered. You left it visible in just enough photos. You stopped hiding it in rehearsals. Subconsciously or not, you wanted someone to ask. You wanted this to surface." Jungkook's jaw locked. "That's not true, isn't it?" Taehyung stood now, slow and deliberate. "You couldn't handle the silence anymore. So you lit a match and set fire to everything we've protected for 10 years. And what exactly did we protect?" Jungkook shot back. "A lie? A script? A version of ourselves that keeps the fans fed but leaves us hollow?" "We protected each other," Taehyung growled, stepping closer. "And you broke that first." Namjoon raised a hand between them. "Enough. This isn't going to be solved by tearing each other apart." "It's already torn," Jimin said, eyes locked on the floor. "The second he turned me into a symbol, it was over." Jungkook turned toward him slowly. "I didn't turn you into anything. You turned me into your tragedy," Jimin hissed. "Every time I walked into a room, you looked at me like I was the thing that hurt you most. Do you have any idea what that feels like? To become someone's wound?" Jungkook's voice broke, just once. "I loved you." Jimin looked at him. "That's not love, that's obsession." Jungkook stood up, fists trembling. "Don't say that." "Then tell me what it was," Jimin demanded. "Tell me what it was when you inked my name onto your body without knowing whether I wanted to be remembered at all." "I thought I lost you," Jungkook whispered. "I thought that was the only way I'd never forget." Jimin shook his head. "You lost me the moment you made it public." Taehyung suddenly kicked a chair, sending it crashing against the wall. "God, stop it." Everyone froze. "You're both so Fimes King selfish," Taehyung said, voice shaking. "One of you can't let go. The other one can't admit you still care. And we're all standing here picking up pieces of something we never broke." Namjoon closed his eyes. Yoongi rubbed his face, whispering, "We're not going to survive this comeback." The room descended into silence again. Suddenly, the door creaked open. A staff member stepped in, awkwardly holding a phone. "Sorry, but you all need to see this." Namjoon took the phone. On the screen, a leaked clip from an unreleased song demo, one of Jungkook's unreleased solos. The lyrics were unmistakable. "I carved you in silence, beneath all the noise, divided by the name I could never say out loud, divided by now burned on my chest like a prayer I'll never deserve." The audio ended. The room was dead silent. "That was never supposed to," Jungkook began. But Namjoon didn't let him finish. "You recorded this?" he asked, barely able to hold back the disbelief. "I wrote it after Busan," Jungkook admitted. "I never meant for anyone to hear it." "But someone did," Jimin said quietly. "Someone wanted to ruin you." Everyone turned. It hit them like a slap. Someone from inside HYBE had leaked the demo, and it wasn't the only thing they had access to. "We're being sabotaged," Yoongi muttered. "No," Taehyung said slowly. "You're being punished." "By who?" Jin asked. Taehyung looked straight at Jimin. The room froze. Jimin's eyes narrowed. "Don't." "You know who," Taehyung said. "You know exactly who has access to unreleased tracks, who knows the layers of your history, who still hasn't forgiven you for everything that happened after Busan." Jimin's voice turned cold. "Say her name and I'll leave." "Yuna," Taehyung said. And Jimin exploded. "Stop blaming her. She was your girlfriend," Taehyung snapped. "And she always hated Jungkook. She knew about that night. You told her, didn't you?" Jimin clenched his jaw. "I told her because I needed someone to understand," he said. "She didn't understand," Taehyung barked. "She took your pain and turned it into a weapon." The truth hit like a wrecking ball. The silence was volcanic. "I'll talk to her," Jimin said, voice shaking. "You'll do more than that," Namjoon said. "You'll fix it." The group disbanded after that. One by one, they left the room. Except for Jungkook and Jimin. Jimin finally stood, walked to the door, paused. "You never asked me if I wanted to be remembered," he said. Jungkook looked up, hollow. "Do you?" Jimin stared ahead. "I don't know anymore." He walked out. Jungkook didn't follow. But something in his chest shattered that wouldn't ever heal. "How long were you going to keep lying to me?" Jimin's voice was almost gentle, but it came with the weight of a blade pressed to someone's throat. He stood by the blacked-out SUV in the HYBE parking garage, the dim yellow light overhead casting jagged shadows across his cheekbones. His phone was pressed to his ear, and the name on the screen burned into his pupils. "Yuna." There was a pause on the line, a breath. Then her voice came back, soft, careful, rehearsed. "I didn't lie, Jimin. I just didn't think it mattered anymore. It mattered the moment you sent that track to the press." Another breath. "I didn't." "Don't," Jimin growled. "Don't insult me. I told you about Busan in confidence. You were the only one who ever knew what happened after Taehyung saw us. And now Jungkook's demo leaks word for word what I told you in the dark. How did they get it if not through you?" The line crackled. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "Then why does it feel like you're trying to destroy him?" Jimin's voice broke just slightly at the edge, just enough for the pain to slip through. "You don't get it," Yuna snapped suddenly. "You told me he meant nothing. You said Busan was a mistake. You promised me." "I didn't promise you I'd erase him," Jimin shot back. "I promised you I'd move on. And I tried. God knows I tried. But he carved me into his skin. Yuna, you think I didn't see the way you looked at him when you thought no one was watching?" Yuna's voice cracked with something that was neither anger nor sorrow. "You think I didn't know I was just the safe choice? The forgettable one?" Jimin's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles turned white. "That wasn't true, but it felt true," she hissed. "Every time you flinched when he walked into the room, every time you couldn't say my name while looking in my eyes." Silence. "I leaked it," she admitted finally. "Because I wanted the world to feel what I felt, confused, betrayed, unwanted." Jimin's heart stopped. He didn't even realize he'd stopped breathing. "You ruined him," Jimin said, voice hollow. "You didn't just leak a song, you cracked the spine of our group." "He ruined himself," she said coldly. "When he made your name permanent." Jimin hung up. He didn't speak, didn't move. He stood there in the flickering light, surrounded by concrete, feeling like the entire structure of his life had just caved in. Behind him, a soft voice echoed. "She said what?" Jimin turned. Taehyung stood there in a hoodie, hands in his pockets, but his eyes were volcanic. Jimin didn't even ask how long he'd been there. "She admitted it?" Taehyung asked again, stepping closer. "She leaked the demo?" Jimin nodded once. "She did it to hurt him?" Jimin's voice was a whisper. "She did it to hurt me." Taehyung looked away, shaking his head. And you still protected her. I didn't. You did, Taehyung snapped. You let her sit on the sidelines for months, feeding off your guilt, twisting it into a vendetta. And now we're bleeding for it. I didn't know, Jimin whispered. You chose not to know, Taehyung replied. Because it was easier. The words stung more than they should have. Jimin stepped back. Don't act like you've been neutral in this. Taehyung's eyes sharpened. What's that supposed to mean? You've been waiting, Jimin said. Waiting for your turn to say I told you so. Waiting for us to collapse so you could finally be the one who kept it together. Taehyung's lips curled into something between a laugh and a snarl. You really think I wanted this? I think part of you liked watching us fall apart, Jimin replied. Because you never forgave me for Busan either. You're damn right I didn't, Taehyung exploded. You broke him, and you made me carry the silence. There it was. The truth that had sat rotting between them for years. I loved him too, Taehyung whispered. The words were so soft they almost vanished in the sound of a car engine revving somewhere above. Jimin froze. What? I loved him too, Taehyung repeated. But you got there first. Jimin's eyes widened. I watched you both fall into something neither of you could admit, Taehyung said. And I swallowed it. I cheered for you. I covered for you. And when it all fell apart, I buried my own feelings like a goddamn gravekeeper. He laughed bitterly. So don't you dare accuse me of enjoying this. Jimin couldn't breathe. Why didn't you ever say anything? He asked. Because it wasn't about me, Taehyung said. It was about you two. It was always you two. He turned and walked away. Jimin didn't follow. He couldn't. Not when the floor beneath him was suddenly a maze of broken glass. Hours later, back in the dorms, Jungkook was sitting on the balcony, shirtless, smoking a cigarette he didn't even remember lighting. The wind pushed through his hair, and the city below glowed like 1,000 unkept promises. The headlines still hadn't stopped. Every news anchor was dissecting his tattoo, the press conference, the song lyrics, and now, rumors of a love triangle that had sent ARMY into a frenzy of conspiracy threads and global fan wars. He didn't care anymore. Behind him, the sliding glass door opened. Taehyung stepped out, wrapped in a hoodie. You know he didn't mean to hurt you, Taehyung said. Jungkook didn't reply. Taehyung sat down beside him. You also know you're not innocent either. Jungkook exhaled smoke slowly. I never claimed to be. Taehyung leaned back. He still loves you. Jungkook's jaw clenched. And what about you? He asked. Taehyung's lips twisted. I stopped hoping a long time ago. Jungkook looked at him for the first time. Did you ever tell him? Taehyung laughed softly. Would it have changed anything? Jungkook didn't answer. They sat in silence, two ghosts on a balcony that once held laughter and music and late-night ramen fights. Later that night, Jimin called a meeting. All 7 of them sat in the main living room. Namjoon sat at the head, quiet. Hosek, Yoongi, Jin, silent. Taehyung didn't look at Jimin. Jungkook didn't either. Jimin stood. She leaked the demo, he said. It was Yuna. I confirmed it. Namjoon nodded once. And? I'm going public with it, Jimin said. A live stream tonight. What? Jin asked. No. Yes, Jimin said. She ruined us from the shadows. I'm not letting her do it again. Jungkook stood slowly. You're going to tell the world about Busan? Jimin looked him in the eyes. No. I'm going to tell the world the truth. And this time, no one stopped him. He went live at midnight. The world stopped breathing. Jimin stood in front of his phone, raw, stripped, vulnerable. There was a tattoo, he said. And there was a boy who loved too hard. And another boy who was too scared to admit he felt the same. And between them stood silence, secrets, and someone who turned their story into a weapon. He paused. That someone was close to me. She used my trust to hurt someone I never stopped caring about. He looked directly at the camera. I'm sorry, Jungkook. And the screen went black. Back in the dorms, Jungkook watched the entire stream in silence. When it ended, he walked out of his room, down the hallway. He knocked on Jimin's door, and Jimin opened it. They didn't speak. But for the first time, they didn't need to. And in the corner of the hallway, Taehyung watched his heart breaking, quietly, completely. No one knew he was gone until 12 hours had passed. Taehyung didn't leave a note. He didn't take his phone. His room was clean, bed made, not a single item out of place except for one thing, his necklace. The one he'd worn since debut, the one given to him by Jimin in 2016 after their first Japan tour. It lay on his desk like a quiet accusation. Namjoon was the first to notice. He called twice, went straight to voicemail. He knocked on Taehyung's door 3 times before pushing it open. Empty. Jin tried to stay calm. Yoongi didn't. He slammed his hand against the doorframe and shouted into the hallway like Taehyung might be hiding somewhere just beyond the walls. Hoseok started crying. Jungkook didn't say a word. Jimin sat on the couch, shaking, phone in hand, calling again and again with trembling fingers. He knew why Taehyung had left. He also knew it might have been his fault. By nightfall, the company was in panic. Staff started sweeping CCTV, trying to trace his exit. He hadn't been seen leaving the dorm. No flight tickets, no car rentals, nothing. Then, the first clue surfaced. A blurry photo from Busan. Taehyung, walking alone on the beach, head down, hoodie up, no security, no entourage. The group stared at the screen in silence. He went back, Jin whispered. To the beginning. Yoongi sat down hard, breathing uneven. Then someone needs to go get him. No one moved. Then Jungkook stood. I'll go. Jimin looked up. No, I will. Namjoon spoke before either of them could leave the room. Both of you. They took the company car in silence. Neither looked at the other. Jimin kept his eyes on the road. Jungkook stared out the window, arms crossed, jaw locked. By the time they arrived in Busan, it was after 1 a.m. The ocean was violent, the kind of waves that clawed at the shore like they were trying to pull the land under. Rain hit the sand in diagonal sheets. The beach was empty. The world was asleep. Except for one figure standing at the edge of the pier. Jungkook saw him first. Taehyung was soaked through, staring out at the sea, hands buried in his hoodie, completely still. They approached slowly. He didn't turn around. You came, he said, voice barely audible over the waves. Jimin spoke first. Why did you leave? Taehyung laughed softly. You're the one who always leaves, Hyung. Jungkook stepped forward. We were worried. Taehyung turned around finally. His eyes were red, but not from crying. From exhaustion. From silence. From years of playing a part he was never cast for. I needed to feel small again, Taehyung said. The city makes everything loud. I needed the sea to remind me I'm not as important as I think I am. Jimin stepped closer. You scared us. You broke me, Taehyung replied. I think we're even. Jungkook's voice cracked. We never meant to hurt you. But you did, Taehyung said. And now I don't know who I am when I stand next to you two. Jimin flinched. That's not fair. Taehyung looked at him. Nothing about this has been fair. Not since Busan. Not since you kissed him on this beach while I watched from behind a fence. Jungkook went still. You knew? He whispered. Taehyung nodded. I saw everything. Jimin took a shaky breath. I didn't know you were there. Exactly, Taehyung said. I was always just there, watching, waiting, swallowing it. He looked at Jungkook. You never looked at me like that. Jungkook's voice cracked. I didn't know. You never asked. The silence that followed was so loud it drowned the storm. I loved both of you, Taehyung said. Differently, but just as deeply. And I lost you both. Jimin stepped forward. You didn't lose us. Taehyung's laugh was bitter. Didn't I? Jungkook stepped in front of him. Then let us stay. For how long? Taehyung asked. Until the next scandal? The next collapse? We're always a breath away from destruction. Jimin reached into his pocket and pulled out Taehyung's necklace. I found this, he said. And I realized I've been losing pieces of you without noticing. He held it out. Taehyung stared at it, then took it. Slowly. No one spoke. Then Jungkook's phone buzzed. He answered. His face drained of color. He handed it to Jimin without speaking. On the screen. A breaking news alert. HYBE issues official ultimatum. BTS members must sign revised image contracts or risk indefinite hiatus. The article was brutal. It laid out the damage control plans, including temporary solo activities and permanent shelving of group content, until the scandal cooled. It blamed intra-member complications without naming names. But everyone knew. They drove back to Seoul in silence. The next morning, they stood in the boardroom with the executives. The ultimatum was delivered in person. Sign a new contract. Abide by new restrictions. Apologize publicly. Reframe everything. Or take a break. Indefinitely. Yoongi stood first. We're not products. The CEO replied. Then act like professionals. Jin spoke next. We've given you 10 years. And you've made billions, Namjoon added. The room turned to Jimin and Jungkook. You two started this, one of the execs said. You'll end it. Jimin stood. You're right. He looked at Jungkook. Then at the rest of them, I'm stepping down from group activities. The room erupted. Jungkook grabbed his arm. No, Jimin's voice trembled. It's the only way. Taehyung slammed his hand on the table. Don't you dare. It's me they want, Jimin said. It's me who became the problem. We're the problem, Jungkook said. Together. Jimin shook his head. If I walk away, the rest of you survive. No, Namjoon said. If you walk away, BTS dies. The silence stretched. I can't let you take the fall alone, Jungkook said. Jimin whispered, I can't let you give up everything. Taehyung stood. Then we don't let anyone fall. They all turned to him. We stand together, he said. Or we walk away together. The room went silent again. And then slowly, one by one, the others stood. Yoongi, Jin, Hoseok, Namjoon, Jungkook, Jimin. Together. The CEO's face paled. This will destroy your brand, he warned. We're not a brand, Jimin said. We're brothers. They walked out of the room. Later that night, they went live. All 7. Together. Jimin spoke first. We were told we had to choose between truth and survival. Jungkook added, we chose each other. Taehyung stepped forward. And if we lose the world, we'll still have us. The fans didn't leave. They stayed. They cried. They cheered. They trended. And for the first time in months, the world felt whole again. Even if, deep down, the scars still burned. The silence in the studio felt almost sacred. The same room where songs had been written, tears had been shed, and dreams had once taken their first breath, now sat still, like a chapel after war. The walls, lined with acoustic foam and scattered notebooks, held echoes of unfinished melodies. But tonight, for the first time in weeks, all 7 members of BTS were here not for a crisis, not for a press statement, not for damage control, but to simply be. Yoongi sat by the keyboard, fingers resting softly on unplayed chords. Jin leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching the others like a big brother silently taking count after a long battle. Namjoon, sitting with his laptop open, scrolled through lyrics they'd forgotten to finish months ago. Hoseok was stretched out on the couch, half asleep, half awake, eyes glassy from exhaustion. Taehyung sat cross-legged on the floor, sketching in a notebook. Jungkook strummed his guitar quietly. Jimin sat in the corner, listening, just listening. For the first time in what felt like years, no one was yelling, no one was breaking. It felt fragile and real. Then the phone buzzed. Jungkook didn't check it at first, but when it didn't stop vibrating, he picked it up and froze. His fingers tightened, his mouth parted slightly, his eyes didn't blink. Namjoon noticed first. Jungkook? No answer. JK, Jin called. What's wrong? Jungkook didn't speak. He turned the phone around. A single video link. Uploaded just minutes ago. The title, Exclusive, Never Seen Footage from Busan Bits' Biggest Secret. Yoongi cursed softly. No. Taehyung shot up. Click it. Jungkook hesitated, then pressed play. The room changed. The video was grainy, clearly filmed from a distance, probably from a phone, possibly hidden. The angle faced the beach. A figure stood under the pier lights. Small, familiar, Jimin. Then another walked toward him, Jungkook, both unaware they were being filmed. The audio was distant, but the voices were unmistakable. You don't have to say anything, Jungkook's recorded voice echoed from the screen. I just needed you to know, I don't regret it. You're going to ruin us, Jimin replied. I'd rather ruin us than lie to you again. Then they kissed, and it wasn't innocent. It wasn't a friendly goodbye. It was something buried, something explosive, something real. The video cut just as Taehyung appeared in the far background watching. No one in the studio spoke. It was the kind of silence that came after a nuclear detonation. The video had been leaked anonymously, uploaded to 3 sites, shared on X, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans were in chaos. Some were crying, some were celebrating, some were tearing each other apart in the comments. The truth wasn't just trending, it was weaponized. Namjoon stood slowly, face pale. We need to control this, now. Yoongi was already typing. Hybe hasn't released a statement yet. This video wasn't supposed to exist. Jin's voice was cold. It was filmed without consent. We can sue. Jimin stood. It doesn't matter anymore. Jungkook looked at him. Yes, it does. I kissed you, Jimin said, his voice low. I was the one who said we couldn't tell anyone. I was the one who left. And now the world knows. You're not the villain, Jungkook said. Then who is? Taehyung asked suddenly. The question landed like a slap. Namjoon's phone buzzed again. He answered, yes? A pause. Wait, what? Everyone looked at him. Namjoon's face went hard. Are you sure? Another pause. Who leaked it? Then he turned to the group. His voice dropped. It came from a backup hard drive. Yoongi blinked. Only staff had access to that. No, Namjoon said. Only one person had access to that folder. Jimin's former manager. Jimin froze. Min Jae? He whispered. No, that's impossible. He was fired 6 months ago, Namjoon said. But not before he copied several private drives, including studio security footage from the Busan retreat. Jungkook stood slowly. So he filmed us? No, Namjoon said. The footage was from the company's own cameras, security footage from the resort. Taehyung's eyes narrowed. That means the company knew. No one answered. The betrayal was too large to fit into words. Jimin sat down slowly. They kept it. For years. Namjoon nodded. And now they're letting it burn us. Yoongi slammed his fist on the table. We end this. Now. Jungkook stood. Let's go live. All of us. They're going to spin it again, Jin warned. Say we orchestrated this for clout. Then let's give them no room to spin, Jungkook said. We tell the truth. All of it. Jimin stood beside him. You sure? I've never been more sure. Taehyung walked toward them. Count me in. One by one, the others agreed. They went live. No filters, no script, no management. Just 7 men. No idols, no masks. Just human beings with history burned into their skin. Namjoon spoke first. We were filmed without our knowledge. Years ago, during a private company retreat in Busan, the footage was leaked by a former staff member. Jimin added, it shows something real, something that happened in a moment of truth, between people, not performers. Jungkook stepped forward. That moment changed us, broke us, healed us, and now the world knows. Taehyung spoke next. I saw them that night. I didn't say anything, not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted to protect something sacred. Yoongi added, what you saw was not a scandal, it was love. Jin nodded. And maybe it was imperfect, but it was ours. Hoseok's voice cracked. We've carried this for too long. It's time we stop bleeding in silence. They ended the stream there. No drama, just truth. The world watched. The reaction was instantaneous, explosive, divided, but something shifted. They weren't just 7 idols anymore. They were 7 voices, unfiltered, undeniable. Later that night, Jimin and Jungkook sat on the rooftop again. Same spot, same sky, but different people. Do you regret it? Jungkook asked softly. Jimin didn't answer right away. Then he leaned his head against Jungkook's shoulder. No, he whispered. Because for the first time, I don't feel like a lie. Jungkook closed his eyes. Neither of them noticed Taehyung watching from the window. But this time, he smiled. Even if it still hurt, the decision had to be unanimous. That was the rule. Not from the label, not from the board, but from themselves. It had always been this way, from the first rehearsal in a dusty old room in Nonhyandong to the stadiums where their voices echoed across oceans. If one said no, the others didn't move. If one faltered, the others held the line. But now, for the first time, the room was not in harmony. Not after the leak. Not after the statement. Not after the explosion of press, tears, and months of silent grief. They sat in the practice room. No cameras, no stylists. Just the 7 of them. Older now, more tired than any of them admitted. The mirrors reflected faces they barely recognized anymore, aged by fame, regret, and the weight of choosing between survival and soul. We can't keep going like this, Namjoon said, pacing. His voice cracked with the tension of 100 sleepless nights. The company has made it clear. Either we rebrand, or we walk away. Yoongi was sitting with his elbows on his knees, hands steepled in front of his mouth. He hadn't said a word since entering the room. Hoseok leaned against the wall, arms crossed, chewing the inside of his cheek like he was trying to stay silent. Jin stood near the exit, unreadable. Jungkook sat on the floor, back against the glass. He stared at the center of the room like he was trying to rewind time by will alone. Taehyung sat beside him, quiet but visibly coiled. Jimin, on the farthest side, eyes down, fingers tapping nervously against his thigh. Namjoon finally stopped pacing. They want a controlled narrative, he said. They want us to release a repackaged story. Not about love, not about pain, Just artistic inspiration, a phase. Jungkook scoffed. They want to turn our truth into PR strategy. Taehyung murmured, that's always what they wanted. Jimin looked up. What if we say no? Then they shelve the next 3 albums, Namjoon answered. All future tours, solo releases, everything. Hoseok finally spoke. And if we say yes?